Minnesota mayhem, the political shot heard round the Capitol. In the current emotional roller coaster that is American politics, one cannot help but feel the collective anguish, terror, and let's be honest, bemusement that arises when news like the Minnesota lawmaker shootings emerges. It's like watching a tragic play where the audience is yearning for a hero, but all we get are a series of anti-heroes tripping over their own shoelaces. The tragic assassination of former Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband at the hands of an enigmatic suspect, Vance Bolter, is the latest in a string of politically charged violence that seems to have our entire nation on edge. Like a never-ending game of political whack-a-mole, where instead of winning plush toys, we win rounds of panic and policy debates. As if we've descended into some dark comedy where the lawmakers scramble like a gaggle of terrified geese every time their own legislation comes back to haunt them. The political Pandora's box, security and paranoia, unboxed. Members of Congress, in a flurry of panic-induced activity, are now fervently attending emergency security briefings. It's as if the venerable halls of Congress have suddenly morphed into a set from an over-sensationalized disaster flick, complete with grim frosting and espresso shots of traditional American hyperbole. The Capitol, long a symbol of democracy and debate, now conjures the image of a fortified bunker as lawmakers push for heightened security measures as urgently as a melodramatic daylight soap opera. Screams for funding, more security echo through Congress with the same fervor one might expect from a Black Friday sale. Top House Democrats, never one to pass up a fundraising opportunity, cry for the purse strings to loosen, demanding, not asking, for more money to protect themselves. Because apparently one's political convictions are now tantamount to jumping into a lion's den of partisan fervor. The fervor's fuel, sensationalism meets skepticism. While some press for enhanced security, others are feeding the frenzy of sensationalism. We have Fox News hanging on the words political motivation unknown, like an Agatha Christie novel where the murder is as intricate as it is disturbing. The political wrestling match is on full display, and it begs for critical skepticism. Do we over-dramatize this national tale of violence, yearning for intrigue and intrigue, simply because our political landscape thrives on a continuous narrative of us versus them? Senator Mike Lee, bless his misguided social media soul, found himself at the center of a backlash, a PR nightmare worthy of Rembrandt. According to the Bushnell's book of political common sense, when tragedy strikes, it might not be wise to post cryptic messages that land you in a public relations tailspin, akin to riding a roller coaster, blindfolded with no harness. Historical echoes and global perspectives. Deja vu all over again. History, our eternal but neglected teacher, has told this story before. The assassinations of political figures in America, think RFK, have always been alarm bells for potential change, a nation at the crossroads of ideology and irrationality. One would think Einstein's theory of insanity applied here, doing the same thing repeatedly while anticipating a new ending. But as eternally optimistic Americans, we continue to starve our need for hope, clinging to the precarious edge of our seats, wondering if this time things will indeed be different. Globally, the intrigue grows. While America grapples with its demons, legislation across the pond is making waves. England and Wales have just decriminalized abortions, which for some might seem like progress, for others an invitation to chaos. Yet it's important to observe how different nations tackle their extremist fringes. There's an almost ironic commentary here. When faced with similar challenges, some parts of the world lean towards liberty, while others cocoon themselves in a security blanket of fear. Climbing off the soapbox, the hard pill of hope and irony. Herein lies the dark humor, a recipe even comedian George Carlin might appreciate. With Congress clamoring for protection, the fundamental irony is that the real threats they face come not from firebrand partisans with firearms, but more often from complacency and the systemic rot they've perpetuated inside the political chambers. While funding proposals skyrocket for security, let's hope Congress spends the same energy on addressing the root causes of this violence. After all, statistics suggest that if one dries the well of injustice and polarization, they may find the thirst for violence somewhat quenched. Is there a light at the end of this chaotic tunnel? The beating heart of democracy convulses on, nourished by debates and arguments, so unique to our American fabric. The question, however, remains, can lawmakers fix the fabric without tearing the whole cloak they're supposed to protect? And thus the play continues, a dynamic, tragic, occasionally comical canvas of American governance that might make even Shakespeare smirk, but hopefully not at the expense of ignoring the wider flaws underpinning gun violence and extremism. Between paranoia and realpolitik, we search for a lucid path. Perhaps it is indeed an American tradition to walk this theatrical tightrope with bitter laughter and dampened optimism. But then again, that's democracy, messy, imperfect, and wonderfully resilient. So here's to hoping that our leaders can channel their performative panics into a genuine effort to protect not just themselves but the nation as a whole. All while we, the public, cheer, jeer, or just munch on popcorn, waiting for the next act. Because if history's any guide, we know there will always be a next act. Let's just pray it comes with more wisdom and less tragedy.